left, right.
Yo, what is it, my friends and fans of SipTalk? Tonight we are talking about narcissism. Narcissism is a tricky, touchy subject. I think everybody's a little narcissistic, but either way, I think we bring a lot to the table with this conversation. We have a lot of fact. We get a little call in, and we get some comments that we address. Let me know what you think about narcissism. If you have personal experience with narcissists or being a narcissist, if you are self-aware enough, let us know. Shoot me a comment, shoot me a DM, let me know what's up, and I'll see you guys on the other end. Thanks, as always, for joining us. This is Sip Talk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Where's this going?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All of our live streams are on. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and in each other's living rooms on Zoom. Actually, I'm not in your living room. You're in your bedroom. I'm in my basement. This is Sip Talk, episode 135. My name is Justin DiGiulio, out of my basement, New Jersey, joined by James, the Boswell, out of Charleston, South Carolina. James is a philosopher, an accountant, a referee, and a bartender, all in the professional sense. In the credentialed sense, some of those accounts. We got some cool stuff to talk about today. I don't know necessarily your philosophy background is going to come into play so much, but we're talking about narcissism. I have a feeling we can get into narcissism pretty deep. And I'd like to bring some guests on, maybe some actual psychologists. And, maybe some people can share their own stories about what's happened to them in relationships with narcissists, or maybe they are narcissists and they're aware of it, and they're either working on it or not working on it. Maybe they've lost relationships because of their narcissism. But we got to get started. James.
What's up?
How's it going?
Well, now that the internet is temporarily fixed by virtue of T-Mobile,
now things are good. Now things are flowing. What are you drinking down there?
so I've got a Bush Ice, but I've also got a Bush Ice Michelada.
Well, that looks awfully dark.
Yeah, I used Lefty O'Doul's Bloody Mary mix, and I added in some black pepper, some horseradish, and some Tabasco, and some sriracha.
What percentage of the Bloody Mary to beer did you throw in there? Because that looked like a pretty heavy pour, the Bloody Mary mix.
Probably 8 or 9 to 1. Maybe like 7 or 8 to 1.
7 or 8 to 1, meaning 7 beer, 1 Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Mix. Okay.
So,
right.
well, I don't know, because I had it probably up to about here in
Okay.
terms of the mix.
Yeah. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what a michelada is, it's beer and hot sauce, or beer and James has got a Bloody Mary mix with some hot sauce and some other additives in there. If you like tomato flavored beverages, you like that. And if you're not crazy about tomato flavored beverages, some people just throw in some hot sauce there, and it's still very good that way.
There's an infinite number of recipes for michelada. Some of them are more lime heavy, but I find that it's just like it takes all the aspects that you like about beer and all the aspects that you like about savory and spicy and mixes the two together.
Yeah, and without it being too tomatoey like a Bloody Mary, in my opinion. I'm finishing off the rest of this Glenfiddich 18, and if you haven't noticed, which I'm sure you haven't, but behind me, still working on painting the basement. This is the new white. I don't know what it is.
Same as the old white.
No, this is the old white down here. It's not the same color white, and it looked pretty dingy. I don't know what it is about the colors I used to use in older houses, but white was never. It was always some weird off white, these weird yellowy colors. Yeah, I look at like public buildings, and I look at the colors that they're painted, And these are the colors that you would find like when you go to Home Depot and there's like the Oops paint. You know, you can get like the Oops paint. It's like $50, Bear paint or whatever high brand of paint. But somebody mix match the colors and it's a goofy shade of blue or a lime green or something, and they're selling it to you for $5 because nobody has any use for it. Are you familiar with that selection of paint? Well, they're usually really ugly fucking colors. It's very seldom you'll stumble upon a decent color. But I feel like when they paint these public buildings, like look at the color a lot of schools are painted. Usually, they're not very nice looking colors. You're not going to find that hue or that shade of color.
I think what you're seeing
design magazine
is that a lot of those buildings were constructed in like the 60s or 70s, back when those color tones and styles were modern and current. And now we look back and I'm like, that's just ugly.
Well, but yeah, to me, it looks like that Oops paint that you would get at Home Depot, but you're not going to buy, 300 gallons of that paint to paint a school with it. So I don't know.
Yeah, but back in the 70s, that was what was cool.
Yes,
and
but they've repainted many of these establishments, and I'm curious. That's got to be somebody's got to sign off on that shade, right? Like it's not like they're like. I mean, somebody's got to sign off on the color at some point, right?
Yeah, but who cares?
I care. I think color affects you. When we opened in, this is really fucked up. Actually, maybe it's not. But when we opened the first real estate office, I wanted to paint it lavender because I had heard that it's like a calming color. And when you're interfacing with customers a lot, sometimes people can get a little pissed off, and it's a soothing, calming color. So I went with a lavender color, came back, painted the walls, and I knew it was a little more purple than I would have liked it to have been. And once I finished and it dried, it was like straight Barney purple. So then I had to repaint it, and I painted it almost like a pinky colored lavender. And it was like that for a year. And then we just painted it like steel gray or something. But yeah, our office was pink and purple for the first year that we were open.
The things you learn.
Color is important. Let's talk about narcissism a little bit. I gotta move my mic around so it's in front of my mouth here. Ideally, it should be closer to my glass of booze. So if you guys are watching, listening, if you're watching in real time, we'd like to know if you have some history of dealing with narcissists, whether that's in relationships or are you just no narcissists? Maybe you work with narcissists. Narcissism is a personality disorder that, when it is true narcissism, it can at first be very difficult to detect. Narcissists tend to be super charismatic and they want to win you over. Relationships and gaining relationships, building relationships can almost be like a game to them. And they're very difficult to have true, authentic relationships with, but they can really fuck you up. And anybody who's been in a relationship with a narcissist certainly understands the fact that.
Have you looked up the DSM-5 criteria for narcissism?
I would be happy for you to share that with me.
That's what I've got pulled up right now. It's just mobile internet is struggling.
Oh yeah, you're things are not good down there with the internet situation.
No, it's not great.
So I have a list of some narcissistic traits, but what was the establishment you just cited? The DSM-5?
DSM-5 is like the psychology handbook for diagnostic criteria of pretty much any psychiatric disorder.
Okay, we got a comment on TikTok from Jess saying, I like Oops colors. So there's 2 reasons you could like Oops colors. Well, there's 3 reasons. 1, and I'm sorry, Jess, you don't have any taste or sense in color. 2, you're really cheap. Or 3, and I'm hoping this is the case, Jess, you're just really lucky. You happen to stumble up to that Oops shelf at Home Depot, and there happen to be some really nice looking colors there, and you just
hang on just a second.
All right, I certainly can. So for those of you guys just joining on Instagram and TikTok, we're talking about narcissistic relationships. I'm sorry, Jess, if I hurt your feelings about the about the paint colors, but I really hope you're lucky because that's the goal. When you hit the oops counter, the paint counter at Home Depot, and you go to that oops shelf, you're really aiming to find something that is a really nice color. And you can get lucky. And I've gotten lucky. I bought in some oops paint before, but for the most part, they're pretty atrocious colors. And you understand why people are not purchasing them. All right. Looks like James is back in the Sienna shirt. Welcome back, James. All right. So did you pull that DSM-5?
Yep.
All right. So lay it on me, brother.
All right. So DSM-4, I think, is a little bit. Which one's easier to understand? You know what? We'll go with DSM-5 because that's the most recent.
What's the differentiation between DSM-4 and DSM-5?
Just they periodically update their manual based on whatever research they've conducted to get to what they think is a more accurate diagnosis. I'm not really sure. I'm not a psychologist. But so narcissistic personality disorder. All right, so on. The essential features of personality disorder are impairments in personality functioning and presence of pathological personality trait. To diagnose this disorder, following criteria must be met.
Okay, so hold up. Let's differentiate here because we're here to talk about two things. We're here to talk about narcissistic narcissistic personality disorder or narcissist.
There's narcissism, there's the personality disorder, and then there's egocentrism.
Okay, so what I'm trying to draw the line between right now, as you're about to read these off, is narcissism versus the personality disorder. So this is the most severe. I think it affects 1% of the population.
I don't know what the affected amount is, but so significant impairments in personality functioning manifest by A or B. Excessive reference to others for self-definition and self-esteem regulation, exaggerated self-appraisal may be inflated or deflated or vacillate between extremes. Emotional regulation mirrors fluctuations in self-esteem. So what that's really basically saying is that like you're putting your worth in the opinions of others, and your emotional regulation is going to be based on how you think others perceive you. So that's identity. Self-direction. Goal setting is based on gaining approval from others. Personal standards are unreasonably high in order to see oneself as exceptional, or too low based on a sense of entitlement, often unaware of your own motivations. So you need to have one of the two of those, but chances are you're going to have both. And then you also need to have impairments in personal functioning, either A or B. Empathy, impaired ability to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others, excessively attuned to the reactions of others, but only if perceived as relevant to self. Over or underestimate your own effect on others. Over or underestimate your own effect on others. So that's empathy. And B is intimacy. Relationships are largely superficial and exist to serve self-esteem regulation. Mutuality constrained by little genuine interest in others' experiences and predominance of a need for personal gain. So let's boil that down. When it comes to empathy, you don't really care about what others are going through, and you're only attuned to other people's feelings if they have some relevance to yourself and your actions. And intimacy, basically what that's saying is that you can't have true relationships and they're never mutual because all of your relationships are structured in a way that you're trying to make them for your own personal gain. So I'm almost there.
Okay.
That's 1 and 2. So now we got pathological personality traits in the following domain. Antagonism, characterized by grandiosity, feelings of entitlement, either overt or covert, self-centeredness, firmly holding on to the belief that one is better than the others, condescending towards others, and attention-seeking, excessive attempts to attract and be the focus of attention of others, admiration-seeking. 3 more to go, and we'll get through these quick. Impairments in personality.
You're very welcome to take your time because I want to dissect each of these, but I want to have you run through them.
All right, let's go through this. All right, then we'll go through B. Antagonism, characterized by grandiosity and attention seeking. So grandiosity, you're feeling you're entitled to things and that you're better than others. and that you're the center of the universe, you're the center of your world. Firmly holding on to the belief that you're better than others and you're condescending towards others.
So look, so I actually made a post on TikTok today, and it sometimes I put a post out there, it gets a decent audience and it spreads a little bit. Sometimes I throw one out there and it doesn't. This one didn't go very far, but I read some of the comments and people were not happy with me. And the basics of the post that I threw up today was, if everybody is special, then nobody is special. Because if everybody is special, the definition of the word special evaporates. As we get closer to everybody, the definition of special disappears.
Yeah.
So, and I said, look, I don't want to hurt people's feelings, and I'm not talking about people who are special, like short bus special. I mean the fact that we have society telling everybody that they are exceptional, they are winners, they are number one, and they're super special. And we have society thinking that each person individually is this super special person. So we're giving everybody this grandiose sense of self-worth and telling everybody they're special. But I don't know necessarily that that's a trait that's going to help people in life.
No, it probably isn't. But everybody needs to find their own sense of motivation.
Yes, I have that in, we'll talk about that when I get to the coping tactics for dating or being with a narcissist. And so I think, and the reason that I'm getting into this is because I feel like narcissism is on the rise. And I feel like, to a degree, almost
Why is it?
Well, because we're giving everybody this sense that they are exceptional.
Where does that come from?
We're drilling it. I actually think it comes from parenting. So
I disagree.
The generation before us, their parents started to tune in with what was going on with kids. The generation before them, they had kids, but the kids were just kind of this extremity. But now we have overprotective parents that want their kids to basically live in bubbles, and they want to tell their kids how extremely special they are, giving them Kanye West syndrome, where his mom told him how special he was. The dude basically thinks he's walking Jesus today.
All right, well, hang on. Let's just first let's say hi to Maria. It's good to have her back.
What's up, Maria? Thank you for joining us. Hi to everybody who's watching live. It's nice to have you guys. We want to know about your experiences with narcissism and dating narcissists. Are you a narcissist? Have you had to break up with a narcissist? Are you currently with a narcissist?
Well, and especially so to the point that you just asked is, I want people to respond to these two questions. One is, do you think that there are more narcissists out there today? And two, what do you think the cause of that is, if you think that it's more prevalent?
Well, so you seem to have a thought in your mind, but I'll tell you.
I do.
I'll tell you what I think is up, because I think, like I said, I think almost everybody is a bit narcissistic. And I think that's because everybody is being told that they feel special. I think social media is definitely helping perpetuate the problem. I don't think it's necessarily causing it, but the fact that
that's where we disagree.
Everybody has their own web page, and that makes them feel very special, and they can build up their fake reputation online. I have to come to grips on a very regular basis, because sometimes I realize that people research me before they come in and meet me in person. And what people find online is vastly different than what it's like being with me in person. And also my life is kind of vastly different than anything that you would see on Instagram or Facebook. I'm a pretty normal dude sitting in my basement surrounded by plastic 12-foot by 12-foot plastic sheets that I had to uncover the computers tonight with because I was painting down here.
All right, so hold on, let's think about
Instagram,
this.
But
Because
hold on.
you touched on something.
Here's where I'm going, is that I feel like everybody has this exaggerated sense of self-worth. And I don't think necessarily for everybody it's a problem. The way that I look at it is very comparable to eating disorders, right? They've been on the rise for a while. Now, some people don't have eating disorders. Some people can eat as much as they want and they don't gain any weight. But for the vast majority of people, it's getting to them, or they have to actively cope with it. So I think I'm a little narcissistic, but I try to be aware of when I'm being narcissistic and cope with it. Just like if you buy a pack of Oreos, if I'm not paying attention or not actively thinking about it, I'll just eat all the Oreos, probably within an hour and a half, maybe faster. If I'm drunk, I'll definitely eat 2 lines of Oreos. All right, sorry. Go ahead. I'm curious what your thoughts are. And you're a non-social media user.
Yeah, so my bias is already exposed, but
hit Cleo there. What's up, Cleo? Thank you for joining us. Sorry, go ahead.
You brought up the point that everyone has their own personal website. Not every way, because I don't, but everyone could have their own personal website through Facebook. And not only is it their own personal website where people can comment and talk to them, but it's a website where it continually grows and feeds you the content that it has learned that you like to see. So
that's true.
If you only care about yourself, you now have a website that you can go to that is literally all about you. It's people talking to you and commenting to you. And even if you're not getting comments or feedback from people, the website itself is feeding things to you that it thinks that you will like, and it's probably right.
But it's totally right. I think now you're not a big social media guy.
No, I'm not. No, you're not stating it correctly.
Yeah, you're not into social media at all. You having a Twitter page and being on a podcast.
I think that social media is the single worst invention of the last 20 years.
I begrudgingly use it because I find a lot of I think there's a decent amount of use for it, especially with what I do. And
you're in a different world than I am.
True, but it also helps me keep in touch with people, which I try to do on a pretty regular basis. That's one thing that I do like about it. But here's a good question I have when it comes, and I want anybody who's listening or watching this to ask this question to themselves. How much time do you spend on your own profile page? So when you go to Instagram and you look at, and you just log in, are you just scrolling through other people's posts? Are you looking at your page? I like to go online.
You're feeding into my argument.
Right? Okay, fair enough. But that's what I'm saying. I like to go online. I like to, I'm if I see somebody I know and they've posted something, almost always I like it because I think it's you want to support your friends. I scroll
also
through
hit
a
up the
bit.
comments from Genevieve.
Okay. All right. She said, point is, I like to post. Hold up. Here at being the narcissist that I want to finish my thought. I like to produce a little content and share a little content, and I like to consume a little content, but I try to avoid looking at my own page as much as possible. Just like when I get up in the morning, I just don't look in the mirror very much. Like some people brush their teeth, they stick the toothbrush in their mouth, they stare at themselves in the mirror. That to me is like, I just, when I don't have to piss and I'm brushing my teeth, I'm like, what am I going to do? Let me do some with my left hand. I don't know. So Genevieve on Facebook says, yes, there are more narcissists today and not sure what the leading reason is, but social media is definitely fueling the fire. And I said, agreed, any experience? And she said, with a narc, yes, the worst type of person I've dealt with to date. And I don't know if she means to date as in to the present date or it.
No, she means as in dating a narcissist is the worst person to date. Well, and she's probably right.
Yeah. So And actually, Rosh made a good point. I actually don't have to look in the mirror because my face doesn't change. I don't have any hair. I don't style the hair. I do have to shave my head, but I only kind of look at the top of my head when I'm getting finished. But
When I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I'm usually watching a video of some bullshit on YouTube or whatever. And my hair, like I work from home. Who the fuck cares? But like, even when I would have to go out, like I usually shower right before I go to sleep. So like, whatever my hair decided to do overnight, that's what's going to happen the next day.
Well, I think the point is how much time you spend consumed with yourself. That's a very big factor. So, do we have more DSM-5?
That was pretty much it. I want to draw a distinction between egocentrism and narcissism.
All right.
Because it's actually a really important difference, and I just learned this because I didn't know an hour ago. Egocentrism is the inability to perceive other people's feelings and to see the perspective of others, whereas narcissism is the ability to do so, but feeling that you are just better than them and you don't care.
Okay. Interesting.
It's like egocentrism is like, if you had the ability, you might be different, but like for whatever reason, it's virtually impossible for you to even be able to think about perspectives other than your own. Whereas narcissism, it's you can understand perspectives other than your own, and you just don't care about them because yours is better.
Yours is better because you have this grandiose sense of self-worth.
If Genevieve wants to join us, I'd love to have her on.
Well, Rosh can always throw the that link in the Facebook chat. So if you guys are listening live,
I would love to hear about why a narcissist was the worst person to date.
to date.
Yeah,
but getting somebody to come on is that's tough. You gotta be down to come on. So here's what I got. Number one is the grandiose sense of self-worth, and I think a lot of people have this, but again, you can't just have that and be a narcissist.
Well, I don't want to make this political, but basically, if you look at Donald Trump, you basically have the DSM-5 criteria personified.
No, that's very true. That's very true. So just intrinsically believing as a core value that you are more important than others is a big factor. And then a preoccupation with delusions of unlimited success, power, brilliance, or beauty. So you may not believe.
So you're basically hitting the DSM-4 criteria, which are still good.
So you may not believe that you are the most beautiful, but you may believe that you are on the path to the being the most beautiful, or you occupy the top percentile of beautiful people, or successful people, or powerful or brilliant, whatever that may be. And again, that's the issue I have with telling everybody they're important or successful or a winner or special, or giving trophies to every single player and every single team, which we all got trophies.
Yep.
We were kind of first generation to get the trophies. And I remember like realizing that these have no value at all. These trophies have no value. They just kind of signified that you did it, that you were like on the team. Hold on. Enjoying just by audio. I'm replying to Genevieve, and anybody else that wants to join, let me know. We'll make sure we get you a link. Again, we're talking about narcissism. All right. So preoccupations with delusions of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty. And next one is belief that you are unique or special, and that you can only be understood by other people that are just as unique or just as special.
You're hitting the DSM-4.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. I at least I'm on par with something here. The next I got is the need for admiration.
Yep.
You have to your self-worth is very much what's
tied to the opinions and approval of others.
Exactly. So it depends on the opinions and approval of others 100%. Now,
Yep.
you know you're important, but you need the reassurance
Constantly.
exactly. And because you're important, you have a sense of entitlement, because important people get what they want, and important people are handed things, and because you're important, you deserve things. Not everybody else deserves what you deserve, but you deserve to be respected. You don't need to be waiting in lines. You deserve special treatment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Exploitative behavior. Now, because you deserve these things, but oftentimes because they may not exactly be being handed to you, you need to exploit. However, exploiting becomes very easy to you because you are a master manipulator. And being able to exploit people is, I feel like it must come that much more easily to somebody who has this grandiose sense of self-worth, because they're more charismatic, they're more confident, and oftentimes, if good looking or well taken care of.
Well, yeah, but it's also that the ethical considerations are very easily thrown out the window because you're more important than these people. So exploiting them for your own ends is much easier to do because you're not considering the consequences or how these people are going to feel because they're not as important as you.
Exactly, which is my next point, the lack of empathy.
Yep, it ties hand in hand.
Exactly. Because others aren't as important as you, their feelings don't matter as much. And they simply can't understand because they're not on the same level as you. So it's not necessarily that their feelings don't matter, but if they understood it the way you did, they would understand their feelings don't matter.
I want to tie something back. I just came up with this analogy in my head. The difference between narcissism and egocentrism. So if you think about egocentrism as like a blindness to the feelings of others, whereas narcissism is you recognize it, you just don't care because you're more important. So think about it like somebody who's walking through like a crowded subway station or a crowded bar or something like that. Now, if you've got someone who's blind, who can't really see, and they're trying to get from one end of the room to the other, and they bump into other people, you're just like, well, I mean, they're trying, but they ran into people because they can't see them.
It's not a function that they have.
Yeah.
Whereas that's your egocentrist.
Yes. And if you've got someone who can see perfectly well and just barges through everybody and pushes people out of the way, that's a narcissist.
Yeah, and because the other people don't matter.
Yep.
Because you're very important. So
keep going.
Well, and then, so here's a good one: belief that others are envious of them.
Yep.
And
by the way, we're like, I have to just keep on drawing this back because every time you describe one of these, I just think of like every single one of these describes Trump. To like if you wanted to draw up the person to embody all of these traits, you would get Trump.
Well, you think of Trump, but I think of X.
I can't think of anybody else. Who'd you think of other than that?
I don't want to give specifics. We're on air. This is
not a celebrity.
All right. No, I mean, I'm thinking more personal and things that I've dealt with. So speaking of personal, we have Genevieve on the line. She's going to share a little bit, and I'm curious what she's got to share, because based off the Facebook comments, it sounds to me like she feels pretty passionate. Those of you guys who are watching on TikTok or watching on Instagram, let us know if you want to join. We will send you the link. You can join by audio. You don't have to be on video. If you're looking good, we'll bring you on video, but it's up to you. It's your call. All right, so we're going to bring Genevieve in. We'll give her a second to set up her audio. And once she's on, I'm curious what she has to share. But I can tell you, in having dated narcissists and spent a lot of time in business with narcissists, it is one of the most frustrating things to deal with. And and navigating around them or in the same space as them is incredibly difficult. It looks like Genevieve's online, but I don't think her audio is set. So we got to wait for her audio. And
We're getting there.
We're getting there. All right, Genevieve, can you hear us? I see your audio just clicked in.
Yes, it took me forever to figure out how, but I got it working.
I think that's the issue that we have most of the time.
Excellent. We can hear you. Glad to have you on.
All right. Thanks for having me.
So tell us what's up. So you said that, let me just read your last comment here, is the worst type of person I've dealt with to date. And we were curious if you meant to the present date or to be dating.
Both, actually. To date, and actually my son's father is a narcissist.
Okay. And can you share what it's like being, some of your personal experience with that?
Well, when I tuned in and I started listening and I heard the word narcissist, a bell rung. I was like, oh, yes, this is a common topic of discussion in my life.
Okay. So you knew, you've already defined that he was a narcissist.
Yeah. And actually, after listening to you guys, I didn't realize there was a difference between like narcissism and then the actual personality disorder.
Do you think he meets the criteria that we've thrown out there?
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about it.
In the fact that he absolutely cannot understand how things he does makes other people feel.
Okay.
Is it that he doesn't understand or he doesn't care?
See, that's the part that I was going to ask. How could you possibly diagnose that? Because they could say that they do understand and they do get it because that's what, people say, but does he really understand it?
But the classic trait in being a narcissist is the manipulation. And if you tell them that's important to you, that they understand, they're going to tell you that they understand. And
Exactly.
and then effectively tell you how they're doing their best and basically kind of parlay that discussion for another time and continue with their bad behavior. But oftentimes when you're dating a narcissist, they are super charming to begin with, because again, they're looking to win that relationship. They're looking to win over your friends, your family, everybody they're going to have be in contact, especially in the early stages. But oftentimes, and I don't know your particular situation, but for many narcissists, it's very difficult to find that true connection.
Yeah.
And it oftentimes feels like for the other party that there's always something lacking.
When did you realize that you were dating a narcissist? What tripped your brain to say, this is what's going on?
Okay, so I can definitely vouch for charming, because even to this day, when people first meet him, they almost don't understand like anything that I've said about him and the things that he's done and the things that he's said. They almost can't believe what I say because of how charming he is and how accommodating. And so that part was definitely there. For exact moment when I realized, I
you can ballpark it.
Yeah, I have to think.
So while you're thinking about that, one question that you asked that got me thinking, but I've got a quick answer for you, is how do you tell the difference between a narcissist and an egocentrist? How do you test for that?
Right.
I would think that when you pose a situation to them that involves the reaction of others and looking for empathy, would be for an egocentrist, if you say, you take this action and they have this reaction to that, an egocentrist would probably respond with surprise because they can't comprehend other people's reactions. Whereas a narcissist wouldn't be surprised. They would be more along the lines of, yeah, but that doesn't matter. Does that make sense?
Or
Yes.
they would employ some manipulation. So
either one, yeah, sure.
I want to get into a bit of gaslighting. So I understood gaslighting 5, 6, 7 years ago to mean something completely different. I just happened to see it in some of the stuff I was reading today. And what gaslighting is now, and the way that I've heard it being used recently, means to make someone doubt their sense of reality.
That's always been the case. That's always what it's meant.
Well, there used to be a bar downtown called Gaslight and the Meat I don't know.
Yeah, no. Gaslighting has always been the psychological technique of trying to get somebody else to doubt their own perceptions of things, so that way you can have something over on them.
So now I think oftentimes what narcissists are really good at is almost to a degree keeping you below them, right? Like they're constantly making sure that they're on top, they're more important, and making sure that you know their place so that you can respect their importance. But, and here's what I think is, and Genevieve, you may have experienced this. They're really good at giving you small doses of making you feel special, very special in that moment.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So almost like celebrating you, making you feel really special, really important, especially when they know like you're about to hit the door.
Yep. It almost makes you feel like you're crazy because like one minute you're noticing something that seems totally wrong to you, and then the next minute it's like, oh, but he's doing that, and this is okay. And yeah, so I can definitely see that.
And the thing is, when you're with a narcissist, it's really difficult to break up with them or distance yourself from them, because you become part of their world, and you think that they're important, and that by being with them, you're important, and that you guys together are very important. And there's a lot of constant, I wouldn't say beratement, but almost, it might start off by them picking on you a little bit, but it might become incessant where they're constantly kind of picking on you and bringing you down a little bit, but telling you how you can make yourself better. And you tend to lose focus on yourself. Your thoughts, Genevieve?
Yeah, I mean, well, for me, I'm a little bit strong-headed, so it didn't take much for me to realize that something was off, but to finally leave is a different story. I could see certain personality types sticking around for a very long time, because of those reasons, because it's kind of like it's the manipulation and the nonstop thinking that you have to stay with them, because they just like add little things in there and they make you think that you need to do things even though you might not.
But you typically really value their opinion. And again, because narcissists can come off as so charismatic, you're oftentimes trying to win someone over who has this level of charisma. And if you do the right things, they make you feel special. All right, James, you got to run for a second. All right, James got to run, and apparently flip over his microphone. But Genevieve, I really appreciate you calling. Can I ask how long you were with this narcissistic person?
For approximately 2.5 years.
2.5 years, long enough to share a child.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you still have to deal with this person who's a narcissist, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you find navigating that territory difficult, or do you think you've figured it out by now?
It's still extremely difficult, and we haven't been together in years. Yeah, because my son is 6, so it's been quite some time. But yes, it's still very difficult.
Okay. Have you found some coping? Because I have a couple of notes on some coping mechanisms. Have you found some of your own already?
I feel the best thing for me, which didn't happen until somewhat recently, is actually talking to other people that have been abused, because that's what it is. It's actually, you go through abuse with somebody that's a narcissist. It's not just dealing with somebody with a mental illness.
Well, and I think, and I'm about to get into that in a minute, is where it transcends them having a personality disorder and it becoming abuse towards you.
Right.
And it can very easily be abusive. And you have to draw that line. So what I have in terms of notes is first, is that once you identify the fact that they are a narcissist or have narcissistic personality disorder, you have to understand that they have a disorder, and you have to come to terms with that. And that usually is pretty quick to happen because you're feeling a certain type of way and you're searching for answers. So once it clicks and you realize that this isn't just that person, that there are many people on the face of this earth that are very similar to this, it allows you to kind of step back and then start identifying some of the actions that they're taking, the things that they're doing, and how it's affecting you.
Let me stop you for a second there, though. Good luck trying to convince someone with narcissistic personality disorder to accept.
Oh, I did not say that, though. What I said is that once you identify that they have a personality, once you identify that they're a narcissist or have narcissistic personality disorder, you have to identify it. I'm not because again, that person has you living in the world that they're building for you, and confronting somebody with who's a narcissist is incredibly difficult, because confronting that person or asking them to change anything is incredibly difficult.
See, that could be a vicious cycle too, because I mean, I accepted it a long time ago, but as I just told you, I'm still dealing with it. I accepted it, and I also accepted that I am not the type of person to be able to deal with that. But I also feel bad because, like you guys said in the beginning, according to the DSM, I think is what you guys were saying, is that they'll never be able to have real relationships with anyone, including their own family. Like you don't have any genuine, real relationships with anyone. And that can lead you, it led me to feel kind of bad because I cherish my relationship with the ones around me. So thinking that somebody else will never have that is kind of like depressing to think about, and to have you feeling bad, and then you let them back in a little bit, and then I don't know like how to say it, but they'll suck the life right out of you.
But
That's partial reinforcement.
I think that's a big part of it, is they do suck the life out of you. Genevieve, I want to thank you very much for joining us. I want to kind of get into some of the coping mechanisms and how to deal with that in a second. But
Sure.
I really appreciate you joining and sharing your experience. I wish you luck, because it does sound to me like you're a bit tied to that situation for a little while. So I wish you the best luck, and
thank you.
And hopefully I want to do a bit of a series on narcissism. So thanks, Genevieve.
Focused entirely on myself.
No. I think it'll be really beneficial for people that are listening, in terms of how to deal with narcissists, what exactly narcissistic behavior is, and how to identify it. Right. So I want to talk a little bit about how to deal with narcissistic behavior, because I think either you're going to decide you got to deal with it and stick it out, or try to stick it out, or you got to cut ties. All right, hold up one second. I want to message Raj. So what I said a second ago was that first step is identifying it and recognizing it, that the person you're with, or the person you're dealing with, the person you're suspecting of being a narcissist is in fact a narcissist. So we've given you a few of the identifying factors. Link. All right. Sorry. Let's see. So first tip is to not lose focus on yourself. Because what happens a lot of time when you're dealing with a narcissist is that you get sucked into their world. And Genevieve said exactly that. And it's really difficult to get separated from that person. So you can't lose track of yourself and what your goals are, and you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself in that relationship. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the feedback.
Well, I don't know. What more do you want?
No, that's it. So don't lose focus of yourself, and then set expectations. set expectations for the other person. And you need to understand when you're setting these expectations, if this is something that, one, if the expectations are reasonable, if that person is able to meet those expectations. And then if that's a relationship that you are willing to stick it out, if that person meets those expectations and what you're expecting to get back from that relationship.
Well,
Can I ask you, have you been in a relationship with a narcissist?
No, close.
Okay, you're close. But
No, like
red flag, and you jumped off board.
No, let me explain why I said what I said. So I dated a girl who was borderline personality disorder.
Okay. Okay. Different. We should
Very
expand,
different.
We should expand on that. Maybe next episode we can get into different personality disorders.
I would love to talk about borderline personality disorder, but whatever the case is. So I dated a girl with borderline personality disorder for about 1.5 years. Relationship ended, and a friend of mine from the soccer refereeing community dated a different girl for I don't know how long, but their relationship ended, and he had a whole bunch of crazy stories about things that happened between him and her. And I knew both of them kind of independent from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was driving up to a soccer game. It was just her and I in the car, and we had about 3 hours to kill. So we talked a lot. And she reminded me really, really strongly of the girl that I dated. Yeah. And so sometime later, I was talking with the guy that was dating her, and he said he was telling a story about her, and he was like, she was classic narcissistic personality disorder. And I said, that's not the case. And he says, well, what do you mean? I said, let me tell you about borderline personality disorder. So I pulled up the DSM criteria, because that's what I do. I'm data driven. And I read through, and for borderline personality, you need to hit 5 out of the 9. And so we go through all of them. And I'm just like, all right, number 1. He's like, yes. Number 2, hard yes. 3, 4, 5. We get like 6 or 7 out of 9. And it was one of those ones where there's a lot of overlap between narcissistic personality disorder and borderline, but
these are personality disorders. So this is somebody who's not on the spectrum of regular.
Yeah. But no, I haven't dated anybody with narcissistic personality disorder, but they're really, really close, because this guy thought he was dating somebody that was
a narcissist, but they were borderline.
And when I told him, I was like, here's the real thing that she has. And he's like, holy shit, no, you're right. And then another referee, another referee friend I have that's completely separate from all of this, I was talking to him about it, and I mentioned her name, and he just goes to me and says, she's borderline as fuck. I've never met anybody as much.
That's funny. Yeah. All right. So look.
So it's like I knew it from having dated somebody that I.
Next episode, we're going to get into the borderline, the histrionics, we'll get a little deeper into the other stuff. But right now I want to talk about narcissism, and because we're running out of time, I want to throw out there some coping mechanisms and how to deal with, especially if you're dating someone who's a narcissist. And the set your own expectations, and then set expectations from them. Not that you're going to ask them to meet anything, but you need to know what to expect from them on your own self.
I feel like this is something that can be worked with and coached through.
Okay, but hear me out. So
go ahead.
You got to speak up for yourself. You got to be prepared for the consequences. And you also have to choose your battles. You don't want to be battling 16 different times a day or 6 times a day, but you gotta stand your ground. And if you're in a relationship with that person, that this may lead to the deterioration of that relationship, but you have to ask yourself, is that something you're okay with, are you happy with how the relationship is?
Well, narcissistic personality disorder, kind of by definition, leads to the end of relationships.
Well, yeah, and that's often the case. And what I was trying to figure out this afternoon is can two narcissists coexist in a relationship?
Oh, the answer is no.
Well, the answer could be yes.
How?
Because remember, relationships are very transactional. So these are two
I guess
people,
if you've got an extremely codependent relationship.
but that's the point, is that it's not codependent. That
How in the world could this work?
these people are extracting, because they're master manipulators, and they're extracting from the relationship exactly what they need to be extracting, which is making themselves feel good, which the only thing that really doesn't exist is that other person putting you down. But that can exist if you're narcissistic enough to not value the other person's opinion.
Oh, completely.
And if it's a status thing, if you have to be with somebody who holds himself at a higher value, it's a relationship that can actually continue to exist.
Hold on a second. I gotta respond to Genevieve's comment. Narcissists need love too.
But they don't need love in the way that people who are not narcissists need love.
It wouldn't self-love be enough?
No, it's not. All right, so here's what I want to get at, because we got a few minutes left, but I want to talk about some things that can be abusive, whether verbally or emotionally. And there's some signs of an abusive relationship when it gets to name calling or insults. I don't think anybody in a relationship should be insulting their partner.
No.
Patronizing or public humiliation. Public humiliation is a big, that's terrible. And then yelling or threatening. Yelling is bad, man. And then certain jealousy and accusations, especially when unwarranted. Some other warning signs to look for in people include...
Look, a little bit of jealousy in a relationship is understandable and normal. It's when it steps out of those bounds. I'm talking a little bit.
Well, I think a little bit of jealousy is good in, but again, that person needs to be able to put that in check in their mind.
Right. But I'm saying is like, it has to be a little bit.
Exactly. Okay. And then I have some additional warning signs: blaming you for everything that goes wrong, monitoring your movements. I don't think this is a warning sign. Somebody's monitoring.
That's just an abusive relationship, straight up.
Telling you how you should feel, projecting their shortcomings onto you, denying things that are obvious to you, or gaslighting you, and trivializing your opinions and needs. So that concludes this chapter of the Midnight Society. Yeah, but I think it's a really important topic. I think it's important that we expose narcissistic behavior. I think narcissism is definitely on the rise, and
I've already assigned my blame.
To social media, but I think it's way above and beyond social media. I think it's parenting. I think it's our society. I think it's our society.
What enables all of this?
I don't necessarily think that social media enables it. It definitely enables a lot of it on the online realm, but a lot of stuff happens in person, which you can't discount. And believe it or not, people are still communicating and existing in person, despite
I've yet to see it.
Yeah, despite, I mean, you work from home, so exactly. I almost had a meltdown tonight that your internet wasn't working, so I can only imagine how you felt.
I mean, I'm running off of my cell phone right now.
Actually, pretty crystal clear. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Invest in T-Mobile, but
I guess, yeah. I'm about to invest in the rest of this bottle at Glenfiddich. So,
you might as well.
But I want to say thank you. I see. Let's see.
We should thank Genevieve for joining us.
No, definitely thank you, Genevieve, very much. Big time. We don't get a lot of caller inners, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate your contribution and you sharing your story, because it's very personal, and oftentimes when you've been with a narcissist, they put you in a place where you don't have that confidence to share what happened. I want to apologize to Jess, who I ripped on about her oops colors at Home Depot earlier. And And that's all I got for right now.
You should paint a room in Oops colors.
I got I'm gonna have to go back to Home Depot or Lowe's this weekend. I don't have enough. You see how I got the paneling behind me? So
yeah, it still looks like a prison.
Yeah, well, if I paint this, it's not so bad, but it's the grooves, and they soak up so much more paint because it's so much additional surface area. So a regular can of paint, a gallon of paint doesn't cover as much as you would think it would when you're dealing with grooves. You got to paint the grooves first, and then you got to roll the rest of the surface. Pain in the ass.
It still looks like a prison. And by the way, for those of you who are still listening, if you are brave enough as Genevieve was, we'd love to have you on and hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Oh shit, we're hitting the music. So, but yeah, if you are brave enough to call in, we would love to have you call in. We won't pick on you very much. And thank you guys for joining us live. If you guys are watching after the fact, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. James, I'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Adios.
All right. All right. All right. That's it. I got nothing to say. A little cough. And this is the way out. So thanks for joining us tonight. If you don't already, subscribe to the podcast. We always appreciate you subscribers. And don't forget to comment, like, share, whatever it is you do. Interact with the podcast. It'll help us out. And let me know what else you want to hear about. Otherwise, I'll see you next time, and you'll be hearing about what I want to talk about. So see you guys next time. Thanks as always.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.